This week at Bungie, 9/23/2021. This week at Bungie, we are heading to the lab. Tomorrow we are kicking off the first Trials Labs. This experiment weekend will allow us to test our target, changes to the game mode, and collect data and feedback on what works and what should remain an abomination of science. In keeping our Trials revamped this season, we are sticking to our test and learn mindset, not only with the labs, but also with matchmaking, rewards, and other quality of life improvements. This week, the normal Trials of Osiris playlist is replaced with Trials Labs. Capture Zone. This new mode is still elimination with the following changes. 30 seconds after the round starts, a capture zone is enabled. Players can capture this zone to win the round or just eliminate the other team like normal. Capture zone is a waypoint from the round start, including the countdown timer. So everyone will know exactly when and where it will be. Capture zone starts in the middle of the map in the first round and changes location each round. The team who lost gets advantage to spawn next location. The team who just lost gets the advantage spawn location. Okay. That makes sense. I wonder if rally barricades are going to be the meta or just regular Titan barricades. We'll see. Also for this week, double Trials rank points for each match. If you're feeling the blues of Fabled and Mythic, this is a great week to reset. Are you flawless? We tried something new for Trials this past weekend, something that has been requested in feedback since Trials launch back in Destiny 1. We tested out separating off flawless players and their fire teams from players who hadn't yet gone flawless this week. Before we discussed what to expect this week and in the future, would like to talk about the goals we have for matchmaking in Trials of Osiris and look at some key data points for the first 2 weeks. What up, Polly? You're gonna be playing Saturday? Okay. One of the main changes we made with Trials this season was to allow solo and duo players to queue up. This had two main benefits. It allowed players a low barrier of entry and expectation to try the mode out. And more importantly, it increased the population enough that fire teams of mid-skilled players landed more wins than if they only matched against other mid-skilled or high-skilled teams. Solo players are key to the entire system working. For example, in our first week, a whopping 54% were full fire teams versus solo players and duos. Cut to this week, where only 45% were fire teams versus solo players and duos. A pretty sharp drop. To get enough solo players in, we need to offer rewards that are good enough and matchmaking that feels reasonable regardless of the skill level. Right now, we have engrams that you can grind for, as well as attractive 7-win rewards, but only if you win. If solo players playing, keep solo players playing. We learned a lot from the first 2 weeks of solo matchmaking. Week 1, solo wins 23% of the games, blowouts 5-0, losses were up to 38% of the games. That's kind of rough. I mean, I heard the stories, but just to see the numbers. Most worryingly, The blowout rate for solo players went steadily up over the weekend, but then in the second weekend, matchmaking changes pushed that rate back down. Week 2, solo wins 36% of the games, blowouts 5-0 losses were 29%. That's a pretty good drop, but still, the matchmaking was kind of rough for people who had already gone flawless. This feels a lot better for solo players, but obviously it has some side effects for fire teams of mid to high ranking skill in the long term. We are looking to keeping the solo win rates above 30% and solo fire team blowouts under 33%. I hate you, Holy. My girlfriend thought I'd never be able to make a car out of spaghetti. Should have seen her face when I drove past her. I'm gonna ban you. Is that justified? I feel like that's justified. Keep game quality high. Make sure more matches feel competitive, especially at 7 wins. We talked about blowouts as one way for looking for competitive matches. We also consider 5-1 matches as non-competitive. The sweet spot is really between 5-2 and 5-4. Those matches tend to feel good while playing, even if you end up losing. In week 1, we saw 60% of the matches at the end of either 5-0 or 5-1. In week 2, the number of non-competitive matches dropped to 52%. A nice improvement, but we would like to see this number drop to 30% or 40% over the long term. Keep matchmaking times low. One of our biggest goals is to keep matchmaking times low while still getting matches with good connections and competitive outcome. We always keep an eye on matchmaking times whenever we make serious changes to the matchmaking landscape. In both weeks, average matchmaking times were pretty steady at just under 50 seconds per match. The only reason it was even that high was because players who started off on a terrible streak would end up in a matchmaking pool below the base pool that only looked for other players who had just started off losing 10 rounds in a row. It's a very small pool with matchmaking times that last over 4 minutes before the system gives up and expands back to the base pool. We are going to adjust how the matchmaking help applies so no one gets stuck in the smaller matchmaking pool going forward. Other things that worked. We had just over 700k players this weekend. Only 50k fewer players in week 1. This is higher than expected, given a normal drop off after launch combined with Distant Shore being a less popular map. Plus, we had 253,000 players go flawless! Exclamation point. And games were 10% longer, mostly due to more competitive games. Things that didn't work. We saw 34% less matches played overall, and the number of matches post-flawless dropped by 45%. Gee, I wonder why. We had reports of significant numbers of players resetting 5-0 or 6-0 cards, but we saw around 16k total cards that were reset while flawless, but under 7 wins. Given the vast number of games and cards played, 2.7 million cards started this week. This isn't a lot, but it's something that we are watching, as it is unhealthy for the mode if it becomes more common. Normally, we see nearly 50% of the players who go flawless doing so with someone else who is already flawless. Last week was 56%. This can either be a traditional carry or just playing with friends. That number dropped to 16% this week, which is unacceptable for low for friend game content. But unacceptably low for friend game content. Yeah, I mean, freaking, we barely won a match of Wool if we did one. Let's see. To adjust this, we are making 2 changes in week 3. On top of labs, we are waiting until Sunday morning reset, 10 a.m. Pacific, to enable the flawless pool. This serves as a middle ground between week 1 and week 2, and as the semi-permanent placement for enabling the flawless pool. We'll be looking at both analytics and feedback, so keep telling us what is working and what isn't! Exclamation point. We are working on some deeper matchmaking solutions, which we hope lets us remove the flawless pool. Look out for more info in around mid to late October. We are turning off help until you have played at least 2 matches during the weekend. In addition to previously announced changes, players will no longer get special ammo replenished when being revived. I can respect that. It both punishes you for both, number 1, missing your kills, and number 2, dying. This way, like, dying isn't a way to reset your ammo for the round. So eventually, if enough people die on the match, nobody's just gonna have special ammo, and you just have to win with your primary. So, I guess that's good. Because even if the other team kills you and slays out, if you kill all of them, or if they use all their special ammo on you, that means just no one's gonna have special ammo for the rest of that round. Adding hold functionality to purchase gear from Saint 14 to prevent accidental purchases. That actually happened to me last week. Weapons received from the reputation rank rewards track on Saint 14 will now have their masterwork slots active. Previous weapons obtained won't receive a masterwork slot. Unfortunately, while we previously announced that we would be removing the matchmaking counter for this week, this change wasn't quite able to make the 3.3.0.3 patch. Cool. Understandable. Looking further forward, we expect to take another swing at matchmaking to keep some of the solo lower skill protections from the week 2 without strongly negatively affecting the flawless players. We are looking at adjustments to reward for round and matches wins on 7-win cards. Other than that, updates in trials, TWABs, reports would be less common as we get trials into a more stable state. Iron Banner is back next week. After Trials Labs, Capture Zones, Trials takes a week off and will return in October 8th. On the cover. Earlier today, we announced our first digital fashion magazine dedicated to showcasing the fabulous style of Guardians. This is your time to shine. In this first edition of Threads of Light, Muffin Bandit has to be on this. There's no way Muffin Bandit isn't on this. I love his content. Like, this guy helped me find the Titan boots that I pretty much use for most of my chunky builds. Threads of Light. So this is like their digital magazine. I believe this is Muffin Bandit. This has to be Muffin Bandit. There's no way. He makes so many builds with this gauntlets. There's no way. That has to be Muffin Bandit. We partnered with 3 Guardians who had previously created their own fashion looks to highlight on our first cover. They posed for the camera and outlined their looks for you to recreate. The next time you're on the red carpet, be ready to answer the question, Who are you wearing? With either Numley, Muffin Bandit, of course, Muffin Bandit, or Vanguard Vogue. I'm guessing this is Numley. Okay, I like that. Muffin Bandito. Yeah, he always uses this. He tends to use this class item as well. It is. Yeah. I like to watch his YouTube videos. Oh, okay. I respect the Warlock look. Most of the times, Warlocks don't really look too fashionable for me, but you know what? I like. Even though these exotics are pretty much useless in PvE. Anyway. Your inner vanity might be whispering, "Hey, I want to be on the cover." If you fancy your Guardian posing for the next edition of Threads of Light, we have good news for you. It's time for another fashion show. Similar to the previous shows of fashion, we'll be hunting for looks to catch our eye and sharing them on our site of social channels. Wait, a suite of social channels across the globe. All you have to do to enter is share a shot of your Guardian appearance page and use Threads of Light on Instagram or Twitter. You can also tag @Destiny the game or our account for your region. Okay. Take it back. No, Warlock's fashion is majority ass, and you can't say anything otherwise other than that one Warlock right there. Your Warlock is beautiful. Debatable. I mean, at least it's, I don't know, mother loves it. How long ago did your character's mother die? I don't know. What's the lore of your character? Where was I? We'll be picking winners until September 30th. Then we'll pick out one of each class to be on the next cover of Threads of Light sometime in the next few months. Everyone in the future will get a fashion show emblem, but only one Hunter, Titan, and Warlock will make it on the cover. Start digging through your wardrobes and creating your look. Good luck on the runway. And I got a couple looks I can throw their way. Prime loot. We don't care about prime loot like that. Season challenges, other updates, live, morning, hotfix 3.3.0 is live. Today we released hotfix 3.3.0.3. This hotfix resolves several issues, including adding a hold functionality, which will purchase from Saint 14. Weapons received from the Reputation Rank Award, track Saint 14 now. Have their Masterwork slots active. Previous weapons obtained won't receive a Masterwork slot. That's unfortunate. Class at Cobalt's Head. What is that? We have seen some questions about the new Cobalt class flawless shader and why it's showing up in collections. Design lead Josh Kolinsky stepped up to the mic to share some answers. Josh, hey Guardians, I'm here to answer questions about the flawless shader, such as Cobalt class, one of the shaders that can drop on gear obtained from Lighthouse when going flawless in Trials of Osiris. Like Vizier Regalia, Vizier Regalia before it, these shaders are single-use shaders that come pre-equipped on gear obtained from the Lighthouse. We currently have a collection entry for Cobalt class, which states that source as competitive and flawless trials ticket. While this means by which players gain access to the gear with the shader applied to it, we here not specific. Wait, we were not specific enough with our wording here, as these shaders are bound to the gear and not unlocked for use on all items like other shaders in the game. We apologize for the confusion and will be removing the collections entry. Furthermore, we realize that this is not an ideal player experience and will be reevaluating how we distribute special God, can I English? And we will be reevaluating how we distribute special shaders like this in the future. Known issues, blah blah blah. Astral focusing perk from the Wayfinder compass doesn't give players tier 3 weapon for blah blah blah. Uncharged melee, middle trees, sunbreaker. Yeah, blah blah blah. A lot of this is blah blah blah. Known issues. If you have any issues, take it up with Bungie. But yeah, that has been this week's TWAB.